Hello, my name is Professor John Benjamin, and this is Game Design at West Virginia Wesleyan College. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is timelines. So last time we created a couple of lights that blinked, but it was just an on or off situation. So now we're going to create a timeline so we can control how the intensity of that light kind of gradually turns on and gradually turns off. We can do the same thing with moving objects as well using timelines. It's predominantly about animation. And so, for instance, if you had an elevator and the elevator could go right to the top or right to the bottom, but we want to move the elevator up to the top. But an elevator in the real world starts off kind of gradually and then it goes fast. And so that's like an easy ease or an ease in animation terms. And so that's what we're going to use timelines for. So we're going to start off in our little wooden house, and I went ahead and deleted the blinking lights just because we didn't want to have those interfere with this. So you can leave your blinking lights from last tutorial, or I went ahead and deleted them. Okay, so this time we're going to create another light, and we're going to create a level blueprint. And why would we want to create a level blueprint for when we could create a blueprint class? And there's just different circumstances if you think. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to treat all of the lights, both point light actors and spotlight actors, in a similar way. So then I would do that in a level blueprint, because then I could attach this blueprint to different lights versus having one light actor, and then I'd have to have a blueprint for a different type of light actor. So I'd have to have different blueprints. So kind of thinking about when to use level versus class. All right, so in this case, we're going to do a level blueprint, and we're going to add a light. And so let's go ahead, and this time we're going to add a spotlight. So we'll put a spotlight right here. And remember, the spotlight, you can control the intensity. I'm going to make it a little brighter. And you can change the inner cone, outer cone radius. I think that works pretty well. And why don't we go ahead and give it like a little, so the light doesn't look like it's just appearing out of nowhere. Let's give it a lamp. So we're going to go back to our props. And I'll drag a prop out here. And I'm going to increase the size to 2 again. And I'm going to rotate it. Okay, and I'm going to go to top. And, oh yeah, it's not fully rotated. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my light and move it near the lamp. Okay, oh, now let's move it. Oh, I want to turn the lamp around. Sorry. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to go like this. Okay, and I'm going to move it up and move my lamp or my light down so that it looks like it's coming out of the lamp. Okay, and let's give those some better names too, right? So let's name this my door lamp again, and let's call the spotlight door lamp spotlight. All right, so I'm going to select the spotlight. There it is. And then I'm going to open up my level editor. So to do that, I can just go up to blueprints and down to open level blueprint. This is the blueprint, the level blueprint we created to trigger the light when we walked into the doorway. So that's already here on our level. So we're going to kind of move over a little bit and start into a fresh area. Add the first node is a timeline node. So let's just go ahead here and right click and type in timeline, or add timeline, pardon me. There it is. Great. And here's a timeline. We're going to call this spotlight intensity. All right, so to change the parameters of our timeline, we're going to double click. And here we have some animation options that we can begin with. So we can do color, vector, an event track. In this case, we're just going to have a function, or pardon me, a float track. So we just click on float track. It is the function symbol, so it's easy to get confused. And I'm just going to call this a spotlight intensity track. And remember, with your naming system, you don't have to be specific to how I'm doing it. You always want to be mindful about creating intuitive naming systems so your teammates will understand what you're working on. Okay, so here's our timeline, and there's some other parameters we can change here. Like right now, it's set by default to 5 seconds. but I think we're just going to use 2 seconds. I'm just going to type in 2 there, and you can change the last keyframe to use it. It defaults to not using it if you want to loop, and so it has a seamless loop. You can do autoplay, and in this case we do want this to loop, so we're going to go ahead and do that. So then we'll need to add keyframes. So to do that, you just hold the Shift key down, and then click on the timeline. We're going to add 3 keyframes right about there. You don't have to be too specific right now. And so what this is here's 0 seconds, 1 second, and 2 seconds on the timeline. And here is the value. So the way we want to do is we want to start off with no light, and then gradually have the light intensity turn up, and then have it come back down. And that's what we have here. So now that we kind of have where our keyframes want to be, or we want them to be, let's go ahead and give them more specific rounded values. So I'm going to select the first one. I want that to be at 0 and 0. And the second one, let's make this one at 1 second and give a value of 5. Now it goes way up out of the screen, don't worry. You can just simply here zoom to fit vertical. And you can zoom to fit horizontal as well. And you can also scroll zoom, and then just like in the graph editor, you can hold your right mouse down and you can go side to side. All right, then let's give this last keyframe a rounded out value. So we're going to say 2 and a value of 0. Time of 2, a value of 0. Okay, so this is going to start from 0, and it's going to gradually get brighter, and then it's going to gradually get darker again. So the next thing we want to do to map things, animated things look more natural, is to give a little easy ease, is what animators call it. So we can do that here by adding Bezier Curves. So I'm going to right-click on this keyframe and say User. We're just going to do User. I'm going to do the same thing with this keyframe, right-click and say User. And now each of these keyframes you can manipulate. They have a nice curve to them. So now it's even more natural, especially with movement. But our light will slowly get brighter, and then it'll get brighter faster, and then it'll slow down to a full brightness. And so it'll be more of a natural move in this slope. All right, great. So we have that all looking good. So to get back to our event graph, we just come back over here. Okay, so we want to create a reference to our spotlight. So how we'll do that is, my mouse starts with right-click in here, and make sure that context sensitive is checked. And so again, this means that whatever we have selected, we're going to get some more nodes that are directly related to that particular actor. And so in this case, we have the spotlight selected, so it's going to create a reference to our door lamp spotlight. Okay, and then there it is. Okay, and then the next one we want to add is we want to set the intensity. So here we've set an animation, but we haven't told what exactly we want to animate. So we're going to go and right-click and uncheck context sensitive, and then go ahead and say set intensity. All right, and we want a rendering component light set intensity. So right there is the function. Okay, and then we're going to connect our door lamp to the set intensity. We're going to connect those 2 pins, and it gives you a translation node automatically. Okay, and the next thing we want to do is now we want to connect our animation to the intensity. So we're going to set the spotlight intensity track, which we've created, to the intensity. And now notice the value is gone because we already set the values. And then we're going to go ahead and connect the execution update pin to the set intensity pin. All right, and that should take care of things, although we want this to be initiated at the beginning of the gameplay. So to do that, I can scroll out here. We're going to have to go back to our event begin play node. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag another wire and connect that to my animation play mode right there. Okay, and then we can just compile and save, and we can just move this down and hit play from here. And there you have it. So we've created an animation using a timeline on a level blueprint that we have targeted to our spotlight. Great. Thanks, and I hope to see you next time.